I want to have a conversation about values. And so I saw this thing, these data that came out. They interviewed 500,000 people around the world, okay? And they were asking them about what is really important to them, what's most important to them in terms of their values. And what they did was they compared people on different continents to say like what they valued the most. Look at social standing. The value is your standing in the community, where you are in the community. Not about, are you high, are you low, or whatever. It's like where you are in the community is really, really, really important. Can you say something about that?
I 100% agree with what the statistics is for social standing in Asia. Speaking of where I'm from, India, having a good social standing is very important. It's you want to make sure that you have a good image in the society. People think good of you, and you help the society in every way that it's possible. So, people go out of their way. I've been a part of that, and I've done that. So people go out of their way to make sure that their social image is intact. They don't do anything that destroys it.
Like what? Like commit like some carnal act or something like that?
So, for example, speaking on a very small note, like in weddings. Weddings are a big deal in India. So it really matters what you gift to the bride and groom on their wedding, coming as a person who's attending the wedding. So people go out of their way who are not very financially stable. They go out of their way to get like a gift or something to give to the bride and groom, so that basically marks what your social standing is, how much you can afford, what is the price of the gift item that you are giving them. So basically when their parents open their gifts, they'll be like, okay, so this is from this and this person. They have gifted such a good thing, so they'll be like happy. But if it's kind of cheap, if it's like readily available, not that big of a gift, so it becomes kind of like those people can't even give a good gift. So it's kind of like a small thing, so small example.
Also, can you say something about like the caste culture in India, right? That you're born into a social standing, so this is everything.
So caste system is very much prevalent in India. I'm sure you guys must have heard of it some point in your life. So a lot of people are looked down upon based on their surname. So from their surname, you would get to know which caste they belong.
Or looked up to.
Yeah. So for example, if you're a Brahmin, so you're the most respectable people in the Indian community. And once you from your last name, you get to know that your respect in their eyes kind of increases or decreases depending on what caste you're from, no matter.
Yeah.
But then if wealth comes into this equation, then it kind of changes around a bit.
China, man, can you say something about how is social standing so important in China?
I think basically from 2000, our country China has built a social credit system called equality and called fairness, to let us the civilian know that the social standing or the social position is way more important than other things we think.
Like what other things? You know, like individual achievement or something?
Like your money, your money status or something like that. Something material wealthness or something.
So social standing, it's really this key thing, like where you are, right?
Yes.
Is more than other things.
It's a top level thing.
Yeah, I see that with China for sure. And it's gotten stronger.
Yeah.
Right?
I suppose it goes back to the same thing I was mentioning earlier. So for Americans, individual liberty is a big deal. And so nothing more is holier than freedom of speech.
Can I ask you this though? Would you expect it? I would expect it to be higher.
Yeah. I would too. I'm not quite sure how exactly they grade this. I mean, there are, of course, limitations to freedom of speech. There are things that you'll get like socially tabooed for.
Yeah. You'll get canceled for,
Right.
which I know something about. Yeah, but I would expect it to be higher, right?
Yeah.
So Eileen, can we just talk about a couple other ones? So it's really down low. Do you have any sense of why it would be low for Europeans? Do you have any sense of that? It's a curious one.
Well, I know there was not exactly a transition of power, but there was a coup that occurred in Turkey. I think 2 years ago, maybe.
Yeah.
It was pretty recent.
That's so-called attempted coup. By the way.
And I don't know. I feel that Europeans as a whole, the majority, pretty much have freedom of speech. It's not like you're going to get shot if you say like one negative thing about the government.
Yeah, it's not a value.
Yeah.
It's just not people.
They value different things.
Yeah, they value different things, right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, which is interesting. Do you have a sense of like for Africa, it's the lowest of Africa and China. Do you have any sense of that? Does that surprise you at all, Fatima?
I mean, I feel like she said, people value different things, and freedom of speech is just not something that, like, as opposed to like morality or patience, someone would like an African would value most. I mean, it's not. It's something like, for example, I feel like freedom of speech is really an American thing. Like,
yeah, it kind of is in a way, right? And there's a way in which freedom of speech, if you stop and think about it sociologically, it's like what I talked about the other day with freedom. If you think about it sociologically, and in some ways it's overrated, right? It's like there are things you can't say about your government, pretty clearly. There are things they can't say about their government. But like, does your life change because you can't like get on Twitter and say something about the royal family or something?
No, it doesn't. People like to give their opinions usually.
Yeah.
So that's why they just want to say it. They want the freedom of, just saying it and just having the opinion. And I just realized that people like giving their opinions even when they're not asked about it.
Yeah, right. And it doesn't really matter.
It doesn't do really anything. If I say, Biden's doing really bad or doing this, it's not going to change how he's doing or is he going to stay in office or not.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's meaningless.
Well,
that's what I can say about it.
Okay, so
like some stuff that most people say.
So from a values perspective, you would say, yeah, there's a way. From a sociological perspective, there's a way in which it's kind of meaningless. Like it doesn't from a different value sense. Yeah, I can see that. I mean, I get it. I mean, I don't know what it's all about. But here, the irony is that in the U.S. we value freedom of speech, but we don't really practice it, except in social media. You say whatever stupid stuff you want on social media, but like whatever, who cares? You know what I mean? It's like, who cares? Nobody cares. So you have the power to do that, but like it doesn't. It's like, is your life better, bro? You can get on Facebook and say something about Trump or Biden or whatever. Like, is your life better? Are you like a better human? Are you happier? Are you like whatever? Does it really matter? Or maybe if you had less freedom of speech, but you had more patience, you valued patience and you really cultivated that, maybe you'd really be happier. Your blood pressure wouldn't be as high. Life would be cooler. You wouldn't get all like tweaked out about all sorts of stuff because people aren't saying stupid stuff. And you'd be like, okay, life would be much better. I want to go with Europe. Why are Europeans and America, well, we can go Europeans and Americans so high on this. China too, man. Dudes, what's up with China on this? Like, y'all went from like being cool to being a bunch of capitalist pigs. All right. Did I just say that? That's pretty funny. It's true. Haley, it's true. Is it not true? It's true. All right, go ahead.
I would say that, like Europeans are very proud people.
Yeah.
Especially like Turkish people and Russian people regarding like the Ottoman Empire, for example. So you really just want to keep, not artifacts.
No, go ahead. No, they're
heirlooms. Like you really
Heirlooms,
just want to
yeah,
keep
yeah,
as
yeah.
much in the family as possible. So
Yep.
like my mother, when she immigrated to the U.S., she brought over Russian furs, rugs, Russian nesting dolls.
Yeah, exactly, man.
Yeah.
There's like a history. So if you think about Europe, right? Think about this kind of, it's a materialist consumption history that it's not just like a thing now that's like, let's go and get it. It's a long history of like you say, heirlooms and
It's just like a big part of representation of their culture,
Yeah, yeah,
and they're very
exactly.
proud of it.
right, which becomes materialism, right? It becomes the material artifacts of a culture really, really matter. And so I can see that for sure. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I see that. I think it's like a whole, in some ways, a whole continent of that. And when you go to Europe, if you've never been to Europe, for those of you who've never been to Europe, Western Europe, and you think that, oh, Europe is just like America, no, man, it's not just like the U.S. at all. Nothing is like the U.S. And it's a very different space and a very different feel, right? And like for me, when I'm standing in a square, and the buildings are 500 years old, and they're just like all the ornateness. Now, mind you, a lot of those buildings are built on the blood and the sweat of people in Latin America and Africa, but nonetheless, right?
I mean, I think like you guys talked about the fact that it's a history of so many things that are possessions of like the culture.
Yeah.
Whereas like when you look at Africa with colonialism, a lot of the history was taken away.
Yeah.
Like for example, recently Benin just got back like most of their artifacts from France.
Yeah.
So like material objects are not as valued, I think.
Yeah, well, it's not like, it's like what you see in Africa that's so essential, in sub-Saharan Africa for sure, and as you see it like in Arab cultures, but I'm going to just say sub-Saharan Africa, is the importance of social systems and the importance of relationships between people. Relationships are fundamental. And like you can say like, yeah, but relationships are important to me and I'm an American and so on, and relationships are important to me because, and I'm French or whatever. It's like, no. This is a different level of connectivity and relationships that are just fundamental. Like you don't even, like the layering of connections between people that make material possessions just like something that doesn't really matter. It's outside of the scope of things. And it's not because Africa's poor and doesn't have material possessions. That's not it.
No, I didn't mean like Africa is poor.
No. I didn't hear you say. I was speaking to other folks. Yeah. Africa's number one in education. Can you say something about that? Education is like everything.
I think it's both academic and social education. Because we value a lot manners, how you carry yourself.
Yeah.
And the respect you have for other people, especially elders. But also education, because it's the best way, at least for like an evolving society like African societies. Education is the best way to move on from all the, I guess,
to move society forward.
Yep.
It's also the best way. It's the thing that you need to build connections with the community. Like this isn't about just education. Like, hey, let's study math and let's study a language and let's study science. This is also education. What you're saying, which I think is really cool, is it's about how you learn about communitarian principles is through education. So you do it collectively. You do it with other people. It's not like a thing that you sit home alone in your room and get homeschooled. You get schooled in the entire community. And in that sense, that's a really, really powerful thing. Haley, so we're at the bottom of that. I thought education was really important to the gringos.
I am surprised at that number. That's fairly disturbing, actually. I think probably would have to do with the fact that we're already very educated.
Yeah, I don't know. It may be educated dumb.
Well, relatively
But-
speaking, we are as a whole. We're very,
Yeah, we
very
are.
educated.
No, in terms of like, right, you are right. In terms of like
Right.
literacy and so on.
Yeah.
Right? But this
it
is,
could-
but hang on, I want to probe your brain here though, right?
Right.
Before you go. Well, no, go say what you were going to say.
Oh, yeah. It could also have something to do with the fact that we tend to be sort of anti-elitist, or we sort of like get pissy
Yeah.
at people who like flaunt their intelligence or their social standing.
Yeah.
So it could have a lot to do with that because, you know, we sort of put like an inherent value to everyone's
Yeah.
opinions
Yeah. Yeah.
just for, you know, speaking what they believe.
Oh.
So it's
oh,
less about like some absolute truth
Oh my God.
and it's more about
Yeah.
an inner truth.
Do you have anything to add to this about, in India, education's like, are you surprised it wouldn't be higher in India?
Yeah, I am actually surprised at the numbers. I thought that it's going to be a bit higher, but I think the reason it is like that is because of the population, maybe. Because there's so much population in India, middle class families and the ones above that do give a lot of importance to education.
Yeah.
I mean, they'll grill you. You got to score good grades. You got to get into a good college. There's so much focus, like regarding education. I was, like, pressurized a lot too for education.
And everybody is, right? Even
Everyone
at the lowest
is.
levels.
Everyone is. Like people who work
Yeah.
part-time at my house, they don't earn a lot, but she would make sure that her kid is sent to
Yeah,
school.
yeah.
The fees is, given. She'll try to figure out a way so that her child gets education.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
think the reason the numbers are a bit low is because of the, like, some of the social things that has been happening in the past, and it's still prevalent in some parts of India, like having the girls marry early at age, especially lower class families. They don't want to pay for education for their girls, for their daughter. So they want her to get married early, and just like they feel it's a waste of money. Their daughter's education is a waste of money, especially people who still want to help their children get education, but they can't financially afford it. There are a lot of poor families in India.
yeah.
I mean, that's the harsh truth. So even no matter how much they want to, but they can't really afford education. And so their child kind of ends up taking over the small businesses that they have.
Got you. So it may be, right, I got you. So it may be, and that we actually had a project in 119. We worked with a community in India for a number of years. It's supporting a school. And for kids whose parents needed to pull them out of school because for the harsh reality of having to work, right? And yeah, so maybe that's it. So the value gets adjusted for that.